Hello demigods, monsters, and gods alike. The Olympus report here. I've got kind of a different video for you this week, nothing that I've done before. Something you may not know is I also run a cosplay account where I cosplay from a whole bunch of different fandoms, including Percy Jackson, anime, Star Wars, The Hunger Games, a bunch of stuff. So far I have a couple Piper cosplays posted over there, but since I am currently blonde, I decided to do some Annabeth pictures this past week as I was at the beach and it was a pretty good location. So for this video, I'm going to show you some editing tricks to take your cosplay pictures, if you cosplay, to the next level. Just some really simple things that everyone can do to make their pictures look awesome. So here we have my first Annabeth picture. And the first thing I always do, no matter what, is I unlock the layer and I make a copy in case anything goes wrong and I need to revert back to the original. So to make a copy, you hit Command J. That's on Mac. On PC, I'm pretty sure it's just Control J. Anything that I say Command on would be Control on PC. So now we've got two layers over here. And the first thing we need to do is, you may notice I have a henna SPQR tattoo that I got, and it looks really cool, but obviously it does not work for Annabeth. So the way I go about this is you can use the healing brush tool and the clone stamp tool, and I usually use a combination of these tools. So we're going to click on that, and then your brackets will make it bigger or smaller. Over here we have our hardness, which is the feathering edge of it. So we want it below 50%, but not too low. And then basically what the clone stamp tool does is it samples a part of something else to cover something. So we're going to hold down Option and we're going to click over here. So now I've sampled this part of my arm. So if I drag it down, we're going to see it's going to start to cover. And we're just going to do that all the way down. And it's going to look a little splotchy at first, and then that's where the healing brush tool comes in. And it's the same principle, but this is just going to smooth it out a little bit. Now when we zoom out, there you have it, and we can just double check by selecting and unselecting the layer, and it's not exactly perfect yet. It's really just, you kind of fiddle with it until you get it to a part that you're happy with. So I'm pretty happy with that. And this trick works on anything in photos you want to get rid of. So if there was a person in the background, it would work on that. If you had on some jewelry you wanted to get rid of, it would work on that. It's a really nifty trick, and the more you practice it, the better you get at it, and it can really save you in a tough pinch. So the next thing we're going to do is, I unfortunately did not have time to either make or buy the Camp Half-Blood necklace. So I went on the internet and I found this picture over here that's in similar perspective and position to my photo. So I'm just going to take this photo and I'm going to drag it over to mine. I'm going to hit Command T to transform. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to tilt it. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to lower the opacity so I can see myself behind it. And then I'm just going to try and, to the best of my ability, line it up with my neck. That's pretty close. So now we're going to zoom in. And we're just going to fiddle with it a little bit more. if you see here, I kind of had a necklace on, so I want to try and line it up with that so it kind of flows naturally. And I think that's pretty good. So we're going to hit OK. I'm going to bring the opacity back up to full. And this picture is way brighter than my picture. So we're going to click over on the layer over here of the necklace, and we're going to hit Command U, bring up hue and saturation, and we're just going to drop the brightness down a bunch. I'm going to boost the saturation a little bit. And then also there's a lot more red tinge to me than this picture. So we're going to go ahead and hit Command M to bring up curves. And we're going to go to red. I'm just going to add some red to this picture to get it as close to my skin tone as possible. Okay, so now this little button down here is a vector mask. So we're going to click on that, and this is basically going to delete part of the picture without actually deleting the picture. So we're going to go over to our brush tool, and this is white, so black is the opposite, so black we'll get rid of. And we're just going to start going through and getting it as close as possible to the edge. So black gets rid of and white will bring back. We're going to zoom out and we're going to see how that looks. And it looks pretty good. I think it's still a little too bright. So we're going to just drop down. I'm going to hit Command L for levels. I'm just going to drop it down a little bit more. And it looks pretty good. Okay, now that we've touched up everything I think needs to be touched up in the picture, we're going to edit the coloring and lighting. So this picture is slightly dark. So in order to fix that, the first thing I always do is I go to brightness and contrast and I add a layer. I just boost the brightness a little bit, but not too much. Boost the contrast a little bit. And then we're also going to add levels. So we can see that the brightness is really low over here. So we're just going to drag that to about the edge. Also going to brighten the midtones a little bit and darken the shadows slightly. So now if we turn off those layers, we can already see how much brighter the photo is. Now the next thing I always do, great trick to know, add a selective color layer. And this will let you fiddle and mess with all the colors within your picture. So we're going to start with reds, and I'm going to boost that up to darken the orange. I'm going to lower the cyan just to really make it pop. And now we can see we've just boosted it a lot. I'm going to also go down to yellows. We're going to see, so the sand is registering as a yellow, so we're just going to darken that slightly. I don't think there's any green, so we're going to skip over that. Cyan is the sky, so we're going to darken it, boost it, and you really just want to mess with these levers, dials, whatever you want to call them, until you get it to a point that you're happy with. So we can just already see how much deeper the picture is. Magentas, I don't think there's any magentas, but you always want to just check to see if anything registers. Whites. So this is going to brighten or darken the whites. We're going to brighten it a little bit so we can see the cloud a little better. And then we're going to go to neutrals and we're going to lighten it a little bit. And then blacks. And I always darken the blacks slightly. So now when we turn that off, this was the before, and this was the after. So just adding a little bit of color to it. Now, the next tip or trick that I'm going to teach you is adding simple effects. So I found some pictures on the internet, and the first is some sunbeams. So I'm going to add that layer over. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to hit OK. And now the sun was coming from the other direction, so I'm just going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. So now it's coming from the other way. Now anything on a black background, you go over to the blending layer here and you select Screen. It's going to get rid of anything in the photo that's black. You can also mess with some other, sometimes you find some really cool effects, you stumble upon them by accident. Like, that's pretty cool, not exactly what I'm going for. But usually light inner screen works pretty well. We're going to go with screen in this case. We'll make this a little bigger. We're just kind of getting some of the beams. Now we do have this harsh line right here, so we're just going to add another vector layer. We're going to go to our brush tool. I'm going to make it really big, so we just feather off that hard edge. Now, if the sun was actually that bright on me, I would have a slight glow around my edge. So the way we're going to fix that, this would also be the case if you're adding a fire effect or anything with light. We're going to go to Layer, New Layer, we're going to hit OK, and we're going to change it, the blending mode, to Overlay. And then we're going to go over to our color, we're going to pick kind of like a warm orange yellow, and we're going to make this a little bigger, and we're just going to go, so that's way too bright, so we're going to drop our opacity down to like 23. Still a little too bright, drop it even more. And now it just looks like there's a faint light on me. You want to be careful. You don't want it to be too harsh that it looks fake, but just usually keeping the opacity pretty low works pretty well. Okay, so next, same trick as before. I'm going to take this picture, I'm going to drop it down, I'm going to make it a little bigger, I'm going to change it to screen. Just going to add the shine to the dagger, angle it a little bit, and we're going to lower the opacity just slightly. And obviously we don't want this white bar here, so we're going to add another vector layer. We're going to go to our brush tool and bring our opacity back up to 100. We're going to get rid of that. So already I think it's looking pretty good, guys. There's a couple more things. So I'm going to take this picture of an owl and I'm going to place it behind me. And we're going to go to screen. And I think we're going to put it over here, make it a little smaller, and then we're going to add another vector layer, and we're just going to clean this up. And we're also just going to darken it slightly. Move the sunbeams down a little bit. Drop the opacity on those a little bit. I'm actually going to angle them up more. That. So now we've got this line up here, so we're just going to go back to our vector mask, our brush tool, and I'm going to fade that. So was a little too harsh. There we go. Okay, so just really simple things, and already the picture is way more interesting to look at. The final thing I always do is I click on the very top layer and I hit Command Option Shift E, and that is just going to give you a new layer of everything combined. And then I copy that, and then I go up to Filters, I go to Other, I go to High Pass. And you want to mess around with this depending on how much you want, and then we're going to hit OK. Now that looks really weird, but if we go to the blending mode and we change it to hard light, we get some really cool detail brought out in the picture. Usually I go with either hard light or soft light. Soft light is a little more softer, obviously, but still brings out some cool detail. So it's really your preference and the style of the picture that you're going for. I'm going to go with soft light for this one. And so now I'm going to just everything we added, I'm going to add to a folder so we can see the before and the after. So just some simple tricks to bring your pictures to the next level. I hope you guys learned something. If there's anything specifically you would like to know how to do, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to do more tutorials, and I can do a lot of things. So if you guys need help with anything, I'd love to show you how to do that. But until next time, as always, stay safe.